He swung the basement door open and saw his mother. She was frail, so thin, just sitting in a chair. The same mother he put in the ground 6 months ago. Samuel's phone fell from his grip. It wasn't possible. He went to her funeral, wept over her coffin. He'd spent the last half year sinking in guilt, thinking she'd died all alone in that fire. But here she was, alive, in his basement. Her empty eyes found as his tears slid down her gaunt cheeks. Samuel. Her voice was a crackle. My boy. He couldn't get a breath, couldn't form a thought. The smell, that bed, the food tray on the ground. Somebody had kept her here. Somebody fed her just enough to keep her going. Somebody let him think she was dead. His mom reached for him with shaky hands. She told me you didn't need me anymore. Footsteps on the floor above. The front door creaked open. His wife's voice. Samuel, honey, you home? Then his mother whispered the sentence that wrecked it all. Don't let her know I told you. Please. She'll kill me for real this time. And what comes next will change everything. Stick around, because this story will leave you stunned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our story. Before we jump in, do us a favor and like this video, share it, and subscribe. Also, drop a comment and tell us where you're from. The United States, London, maybe Canada, Jamaica, or South Africa? We're curious to know. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To get how a billionaire could find something so awful in his own house, you have to understand who Samuel truly was. Not the powerhouse the world knew, but the broken kid he'd been hiding his whole life. 20 years ago, Samuel was a nobody. His mother worked 3 jobs just to keep their heads above water. She cleaned offices at sunrise, served meals at noon, washed plates till midnight. Her hands were raw. Her back was always aching, but she never complained. Not ever. Every morning, she'd kiss young Samuel on the forehead and murmur the same thing. You're going to be something amazing. You'll make all this worth it. And Samuel took her word for it. She was his hero, his entire universe. When other kids were playing after school, Samuel was studying. When they hit parties, he was reading business books his mom checked out from the library. While they were dating and messing around, he was mapping out his future. Make me proud, his mother would say, ruffling his hair. And he did. By 25, Samuel had launched his first successful company. By 30, he was a millionaire. By 35, a billionaire. Fancy suits, private planes, flashy cars. He had the world at his feet. But this is the part nobody knew. Every single big decision in Samuel's billion-dollar empire first went through one person, his mother. Not his partners, not his advisors, not even his wife. His mother. Late at night, while the city was dark, Samuel's phone would ring. He would excuse himself from major meetings, from dinner parties, from his own bedroom to answer her call. I've been thinking about that investment, she'd say, her voice soft but firm. I don't have a good feeling about it. And Samuel would scrap it. That charity you brought up. I think you should launch your own. One I can help with. And he would. You're working too hard. You need to be home for dinner this Sunday. I miss you. And he'd move his whole schedule around. His staff couldn't figure out why their boss would suddenly pivot on a strategy. His friends had no idea why he'd bail on plans at the last second. His business partners got annoyed with his erratic choices. But Samuel always gave the same reason. My mother gave up everything for me. The least I can do is listen to her advice. It sounded lovely. It sounded like love. Sounded like devotion. It was none of that. It was control, wrapped in guilt, and passed off as gratitude. But Samuel was blind to it. Because when you're raised from childhood to think love equals sacrifice, you can't spot the line between support and manipulation. And then he met Bianca. She was unlike any woman he'd ever met. Sharp, self-reliant, gorgeous. She was an architect, building her own career, her own life. She didn't want his money. She didn't care about his status. She just wanted him. Their first date went on for 6 hours. They talked about everything. Hopes, worries, the future. Samuel felt something he had never felt before. Freedom. For the first time, someone saw him. Not his bank account, not his success. Just him. 3 months later, he asked her to marry him. And that's where it all began to shift, because his mother did not approve. She's not the one for you, she told Samuel over tea in the pricey apartment he paid for. I can feel it. A mother just knows. But I love her, Samuel said. His mother's eyes welled up with tears. Real tears that trickled down her face and made Samuel's chest feel tight with panic. After everything I gave up for you, she whispered. After all those years working myself to the bone. This is how you thank me? By picking some stranger over your own mother. I'm not picking anyone over you. I'm just getting married. If you marry her, I don't know how I'll go on. His mother clutched her chest as if her heart was shattering. I might as well be dead. Samuel felt ill. The room started to spin. His mother's hurt was his hurt. It always was. But he married Bianca anyway. And his mother came to the wedding anyway, though she wasn't exactly happy about it. The first year of marriage was wonderful. Samuel and Bianca made a life together. They bought a huge mansion. They saw the world. They talked about having kids. But his mother was a constant presence, always there, even when she wasn't in the same room. Phone calls every day, sometimes two a day. Just checking in, darling. Making sure you're eating right. Wondering if you need a thing. Sweet words, loving words. But they had invisible strings. Bianca saw them first. Your mother called again, she'd say gently. That's the third time today. She worries about me, Samuel would reply. It's just her way of showing love. But Samuel, we're eating dinner. Cannot wait. His phone would ring again. His mother's name on the screen. He always answered. Every single time. Bianca began to feel like an outsider in her own marriage. Like she was in a contest for her husband's time against a woman who'd had a 35-year head start. And she was losing. But the calls were only the start. His mother would drop by without warning. She had a key to their mansion. Samuel gave it to her for emergencies. Bianca would get home from her job to find her mother-in-law moving their furniture. This room has awful energy, his mother would claim. I'm just fixing it. She'd sort through their mail, making sure you're not spending too much. She would critique how Bianca managed the house. A good wife would have a cleaner kitchen. And when Bianca tried to draw a line, Samuel always took his mother's side. She's just trying to help. She has good intentions. She gave up everything for me. The least we can do is have patience with her. Patience. As if Bianca's own feelings were irrelevant. As if her house wasn't being invaded. As if her marriage wasn't being managed by someone who had no business being in it. But the true agony started at family dinners. Once a month, Samuel's mother held dinner at her upscale apartment. You had to be there. Samuel never argued. Bianca hated these dinners more than anything, because his mother wouldn't insult her to her face. That was too crude, too easy for Samuel to notice. She did something much worse. She smiled while she tore her down. Bianca, dear, his mother would say before 15 relatives, her voice dripping with fake kindness. Tell everyone about how you and Samuel met. Bianca would tell their story, the coffee shop, the 6-hour date, how they fell in love. And her mother-in-law would cut in with a laugh. How fortunate you were. Samuel could have had anyone. Models, doctors, women from prominent families. But he picked you. The table would fall silent. Lucky, his mother would say again. So very lucky. Bianca's face would get hot with humiliation. But when she looked at Samuel, he'd be talking to his uncle, totally oblivious to what just occurred. Another time, his mother raised the subject of money. We really rescued Bianca, she told the dinner guests like it was wonderful news. She had nothing before Samuel, struggling to make rent. But look at her now. Designer dresses, diamond rings, living the high life. She smiled right at Bianca. We turned your life around, didn't we, dear? Bianca wanted to yell, to chuck her wine glass, to flee the room. Instead, she just smiled back. Yes, very lucky, because pushing back just made things worse. Bianca tried to defend herself once. His mother made a nasty comment about her family, and Bianca finally broke. That's not fair, she said, her voice low. His mother's eyes widened. Her hand shot to her chest. She gasped as if Bianca had hit her. Samuel, she cried out. Did you hear what your wife just said to me? After everything I've done for this family. Tears sprung to her eyes instantly. Perfect tears that made everyone else uncomfortable. Samuel hurried to his mother's side. Bianca, apologize. Apologize to her now. And Bianca did, in front of them all, while his mother accepted with phony grace and a true smile of victory. That evening, Samuel wouldn't talk to Bianca for hours. His mother kept calling to say how wounded she was. Bianca learned her lesson. Don't fight back. It just makes you the bad guy. But the most vicious attack came later, after Bianca's miscarriage. She was 12 weeks along when it happened. One minute she was designing a nursery. The next she was bleeding in a hospital bed, losing the child they both wanted so badly. Samuel held her hand through it. He cried with her. He promised they would try again. His mother came to the hospital with flowers. These things happen, she said, patting Bianca's hand. Maybe it's for the best. Bianca looked up, confused. What? Well, his mother said, very careful, glancing at Samuel. Some women's bodies just aren't meant for carrying babies. Weak genes, you see. It's no one's fault. The words were like acid. Samuel didn't hear. He was talking to doctor down the hall. But Bianca heard every single word. Weak genes, not built for children. Nobody's fault, but really all your fault. Bianca just stared at this woman who smiled as she broke her. This woman who ran every part of her marriage. This woman who would never, ever let her be good enough. And deep inside Bianca, something cracked. Not with a bang, just a tiny fracture in her spirit that would get bigger. Day by day, month by month. Until one day, it would be a canyon. 3 months after that, Bianca tried to leave. She packed a bag while Samuel was at his office. Just a week's worth of clothes. She was going to a hotel to clear her thoughts, to figure out if this marriage was salvageable. But before she could get out the door, Samuel's mother called him, crying. Samuel, I think I'm having a heart attack, she wailed into the phone. I can't breathe. I'm so scared. Please come. Samuel rushed home. Not to his wife, to his mother. He found her on her couch, perfectly fine, clutching her chest for dramatic effect. I just had a horrible feeling, she said through fake sobs. Like I was about to lose you. Like Bianca was going to steal you away from me forever. Mom, Bianca's not stealing me. But what if she leaves you? What if she divorces you, Samuel? She grabbed his hands. If that happens, I might as well die. I can't live in a world where you pick her over me. Samuel stayed with his mother that night. He called Bianca. There's an emergency. I'll be home in the morning. Bianca sat by herself in their mansion, her packed luggage by the door, and she understood something awful. She could never leave. His mother would always find some way to reel him back in. With tears, with guilt, with death threats. She was stuck, and that's when the thought first flickered into her mind. Quiet, dark, and terrible. What if his mother just went away? The idea scared Bianca at first. She shoved it down, told herself she was going mad. But it kept returning, louder each time, because every day his mother pulled the leash on Samuel a little tighter. And every day Bianca felt like she was suffocating. She wasn't planning anything. Not really. She was just thinking. And that's always how it begins. The darkness doesn't barge in. It whispers. It hints. It waits until you're desperate enough to listen. Bianca was nearly there. Almost 6 months went by. Then, everything changed overnight. Samuel was in Singapore for a business trip he'd planned for months. A merger valued at $200 million. The biggest deal of his career. He was on a stage in a conference hall packed with investors, cameras flashing, people clapping. This was his big moment. Everything he'd strived for. His phone began to vibrate in his pocket. Once, twice, 10 times. He ignored it. The presentation was too critical. But then his assistant ran through the door, her face white, and Samuel knew something dreadful had happened. He got off the stage, looked at his phone. 47 missed calls. 23 text messages. All with the same words. Fire. Your mother. Come home now. Samuel's legs almost buckled. The room swam. The voices of people around him faded to a dull roar. He couldn't breathe. Get me on the next plane, he whispered to his assistant. Now! The flight home was the longest 8 hours of Samuel's life. He tried calling everyone, his security staff, the fire department, the hospital. No one would give him any details, just, "You need to come home, sir." Those words scared him more than anything, because they meant it was bad, really bad. Samuel gazed out the plane window into the blackness, and all he could think of was the last talk he had with his mother. She had called him before his flight. "Be safe, darling," she'd said. "I'll miss you. I'll only be gone a week, Mom. I know, but I always worry. You're all I have." He laughed. "I'll call you when I land." But he never got the chance, because 3 hours after his plane left, the family mansion went up in flames. His mother was inside. Alone, Samuel landed and stepped into a nightmare. The mansion, his home, the place his mother had been living for years, was gone. Charred walls, a collapsed roof, smoke still curling into the sky. Fire trucks circled the property. Police cars, ambulances. But they were too late. Samuel got out of his car and ran for the house, but firemen stopped him. "Sir, you can't go in. It's not safe." "My mother," Samuel yelled. "Where is my mother?" The fire chief came over, his expression grim. "Mr. Liam, I'm so very sorry. We found remains in the master bedroom. She didn't get out." The world stopped. Samuel's knees buckled and hit the pavement. He couldn't hear anything but a sharp ringing in his ears. Couldn't see anything but the ruined building where his mother died. Alone, frightened, screaming for help that didn't come. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." Bianca showed up next to him. She must have driven over as soon as she heard. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Her hands were trembling. "Samuel," she wept, throwing her arms around him. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." He fell into her embrace. This woman he had sometimes ignored for his mother. This woman who had put up with so much. And now she was here, holding him together as he fell apart. "I wasn't here," Samuel choked out. "I was on the other side of the world for a stupid presentation while my mother burned." "You didn't know?" Bianca whispered, stroking his hair. "You couldn't have. I should have been here. I should have kept her safe." Bianca held him tighter. "I'm here now. I will never leave you. I promise." And Samuel believed her. Because right then, Bianca was all he had. The investigation was quick. An electrical fire, they concluded. Bad wiring in the old house. It happens. Nobody's fault. Just a tragedy. The coroner's report was ready 3 days later. Samuel needed to identify the body, but when he got to the morgue, they advised against it. "Mr. Liam, we don't suggest you view the remains," the coroner said softly. "The fire damage was extensive. We used dental records for a positive ID. It's definitely your mother. But seeing her like this, it won't bring you peace. It will only give you nightmares." Samuel wanted to insist, wanted to see her one last time, but Bianca touched his arm. "Listen to him, Samuel. Remember her how she was. Not like this." So he did. He signed the papers without ever looking at the body. A closed casket funeral. That was the agreement. Body too damaged for an open casket, the funeral director told the mourners. Samuel stood at the front of the church in a black suit, staring at the polished wooden box, and he couldn't shake the thought. She's really in there. My mother is gone. 300 people came to the funeral. Business partners, relatives, friends. Everyone loved his mother. Everyone had a story about her kindness, her generosity, her devotion to her son. Samuel listened to them speak about this perfect woman, this saint, and he felt like he was drowning in guilt. He hadn't been a perfect son. He had gotten married when she didn't approve. He'd ignored some of her calls. He'd chosen his wife over her sometimes. And now she was dead. He would never have a chance to make it right. Bianca was by his side the whole time, holding his hand, murmuring comforting words, being the strong one. "She knew you loved her," Bianca said quietly. "She knew." Samuel nodded, but he didn't believe it. They buried the casket in the family plot. Samuel watched as they lowered it into the earth, and a part of him died with it. The woman who brought him up. The woman who gave up everything. The woman who loved him more than anyone. Gone. The weeks that followed were a blur. Samuel barely ate, hardly slept. He'd wake up at 3 a.m. and reach for his phone to call his mother, then remember she was dead. The guilt consumed him. Every choice he'd ever made that she didn't like played over and over in his head. Every time he picked Bianca over her. Every call he let go to voicemail. "I was a bad son," he told Bianca one night, his face wet with tears. "No," Bianca said firmly, pulling him close. "You were an amazing son. You gave her everything. A beautiful home, money, your time, your love. You have nothing to be guilty for. But I wasn't there when she needed me. You were building the life she wanted for you. That's what she would have wanted." Samuel wanted to believe her. He needed to. The alternative, that he'd let his mother down in her last moments, was too much to bear. But a strange thing started to happen over the next few months. Samuel began to shift. It was little things at first. He made a business move without asking for anyone's advice. Just went with his gut. It paid off. He went to a charity fundraiser without getting anyone's permission. He just went because he felt like it. It felt great. He even had dinner with Bianca one night, just them, and his phone didn't ring every 20 minutes. The quiet was nice. "You seem different," Bianca noted one evening. They were on their balcony, watching the sun go down. "Calmer." Samuel considered it. "I feel like I can breathe for the first time in years." "What do you mean?" He had trouble finding the right words. "I love my mother. I will always love her. But I think maybe I was living for her instead of for me. Does that sound right?" Bianca's eyes had a flicker of something he couldn't place, but she nodded. "That makes total sense." "I feel bad even saying it," Samuel went on. "Like I'm betraying her." "You're not betraying anyone," Bianca said softly. "You're just growing, becoming your own man. That's what mothers want for their kids." Samuel took her hand. "Thanks for being here, for sticking with me through this. I know I didn't always put you first." Bianca squeezed his hand. "I'm your wife. I will always be here." And she meant it. He could see it in her eyes. For the first time in their marriage, they felt like a real partnership. No third person in the background. No guilt pulling Samuel away. Just them building something. 3 months after the funeral, Samuel was doing well. His business choices were sharper. He closed deals quicker. He backed projects he felt passionate about instead of hesitating. His employees saw it. "The boss seems more decisive," they whispered. His friends saw it. "Samuel's finally loosening up," they said. Even Bianca saw her husband becoming the man she always knew he could be. Strong, confident, free. "I think the grief changed you," she told him one night. "Maybe," Samuel said. "Or maybe losing my mom made me see that I have to live for both of us now." Bianca smiled, but her expression held a hint of sadness. "She'd be proud of you." Samuel nodded. "I hope so." What he didn't realize, what he couldn't have known, was that the voice in his head had been the issue all along. Not his mother's love, not her sacrifices, but her control, her guilt, her constant influence on every decision, every thought, every second of his life. The emotional tether that kept him a boy even as he became a billionaire. And now that tether was gone, cut, burned away in a fire. Or so he thought. 6 months after the funeral, Samuel's life was unrecognizable. He'd launched a new charity foundation, his own concept, not suggested by anyone. He'd reconnected with old friends he had drifted from. He even started therapy to process his grief. "I spent so many years being scared," he told his therapist. "Scared of letting my mother down, scared of making a bad choice, scared of being a failure. And now," the therapist asked, "now I'm just sad, but I'm not scared anymore." It felt like freedom. Bianca observed all of this with a quiet contentment. Her husband was finally becoming whole. Their marriage was finally getting air. The nightmare was done, or so Samuel thought. On a Tuesday evening, something happened. Samuel got home early from work. Bianca was supposed to be in a meeting, so the house was empty. He figured he'd sort through some files in his office. Old business papers, tax forms, stuff he'd been avoiding. He was walking down the main hall with a box of documents when he heard it. A faint, distant sound. From below. Thump, thump, thump. Samuel stopped. He put the box down and listened. Nothing. He must have imagined it. Old houses creak. Pipes groan. He picked the box up again. Thump, thump, thump. There it was again. Louder this time. From a basement. Samuel's heart began to pound. Someone was down there. An intruder? But how? The basement was always locked. He walked to the basement door and put his ear to the wood. Thump, thump, thump. Definitely from inside. "Hello." Samuel called out. "Is anyone there?" Silence. Then he heard something else. A voice. Faint. Desperate. "Help." Samuel's blood ran cold. Someone was trapped in his basement. He grabbed the doorknob and pulled. Locked. Of course. Bianca had the key. He tried her cell. Voicemail. "Bianca, call me. It's an emergency. Someone's in the basement." He couldn't wait. Someone was in trouble. Samuel sprinted to the garage, found a crowbar, and came back to the door. "I'm coming," he yelled. "Hang on." He jammed the crowbar into the door frame and yanked. The wood cracked. The lock shattered. The door swung open. Darkness. Stairs leading down. And a smell hit him. Not old furniture or dust. Something else. Something wrong. Samuel's hands trembled as he flicked the light switch. It didn't work. Bulb was probably out. He took out his phone, switched on the flashlight, and started down the stairs. "Hello? Where are you?" No reply. His steps echoed on the wooden stairs. The smell grew stronger. Unwashed. Human. Samuel got to the bottom. His flashlight beam cut across the basement, and his entire world fell apart. There was a cot, a small, dirty cot with thin blankets. A tray on the floor with old, half-eaten food. A bucket in the corner. And a chair. In that chair sat a woman. Thin. Frail. Wearing clothes he recognized. Her hair was longer. Her face was gaunt. Her eyes were sunken. But he knew that face. He'd been looking at it his whole life. It was his mother. Alive. Samuel's phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor. The woman's eyes met his. Tears began to fall. "Samuel." Her voice was a cracked whisper. "My son." He couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't make sense of what he was seeing. This couldn't be. His mother was dead. He buried her. He mourned her for half a year. She was gone. But she was sitting right here. Alive. "No, Samuel whispered. No, this isn't real. It can't be. Help me," his mother pleaded, reaching for him with trembling hands. "Please, please help me." Samuel stumbled forward, fell to his knees, and touched her face with shaking fingers. She was real. Warm. Breathing. "Ow," he choked out. "How are you here? The fire, the funeral. I buried you." "I know," she whispered, tears running down her face. "I know what you thought. But it was a lie. All a lie." "What are you talking about?" His mother's eyes filled with terror. "She told me you didn't need me anymore. She said you'd be better off without me." Just then, the front door upstairs opened. Footsteps in the hall. Bianca's voice called out, "Samuel, are you home? Your car's in the drive." Samuel's mother grabbed his arm with a surprising grip. "Don't let her know I told you. Please." "Samuel." Bianca's voice was getting closer, heading for the basement. And Samuel turned toward the broken door, toward the stairs, toward his wife. The woman he trusted. The woman he loved. The woman who had locked his mother in a basement for 6 months and let him believe she was dead. Everything was a lie. Everything. Bianca appeared at the top of the basement stairs. She stopped dead when she saw the splintered door. Her eyes grew wide. The color drained from her face. "Samuel." Her voice was small, shaky. "What are you doing down there?" Samuel stood up slowly, his body trembling with rage, confusion, disbelief. "Come down here," he said, his voice quiet. "Samuel, I can explain. Come down here." His voice roared through the house. Bianca flinched. She had never heard him yell like that. Not ever. Slowly, she walked down the stairs. Each step careful, like she was walking to her own end. When she got to the bottom and saw Samuel's mother in the chair, she stopped breathing. The three of them stood in that basement. A terrible, silent scene. Samuel looked from his wife to his mother. 2 women he loved. 2 women who had defined his whole life. And he had no idea who was telling the truth. "Explain," Samuel whispered. "Explain right now what my dead mother is doing alive in our basement." Bianca's mouth opened, then closed. No words came out. Samuel's mother spoke up instead, her voice weak but frantic. "She took me, Samuel, 6 months ago. She told me you didn't need me anymore. She locked me down here. She barely gives me food. I've been screaming for help, but no one heard me. No one came." Samuel felt sick. He turned to Bianca. "Tell me this isn't true." Bianca's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't say no. "Tell me," Samuel screamed. "You weren't supposed to find out this way," Bianca whispered. The words hit Samuel like a physical blow. "Find out this way," he repeated slowly. "You're saying there was a right way for me to find out you locked my mother in our basement." "Samuel, please just listen." "The fire," Samuel said, his mind racing, putting together pieces he didn't want to connect. "The fire that killed her. That was you." Bianca stared at the floor, said nothing. "Answer me." "Nobody died in that fire," Bianca said quietly. "The mansion was empty. I made sure of it." Samuel stumbled back like she'd shot him. You faked it. The funeral, the coffin, the death certificate, all of it was fake. I had to make you believe she was gone," Bianca said, tears now streaming down her face. "It was the only way to set you free." "Free me?" Samuel's voice cracked. "You let me mourn for 6 months. I cried myself to sleep every night. I blamed myself for not being there. I thought I failed her. You were finally living." Bianca shouted back. "For the first time in your life, you were making your own choices. You were happy. You were you. Because I thought my mother was dead." The basement fell quiet, except for Samuel's ragged breathing. His mother reached out from her chair. "Son, please get me out of here. She's dangerous. She's not stable. You need to call the police." Samuel looked at his mother. Really looked at her. She was so thin. Her clothes were hanging off her. Her skin was waxy. There were bruises on her arms. 6 months in this basement. 6 months of darkness. While he was living right above, clueless, thinking she was 6 feet under. "Did you hurt her?" Samuel asked Bianca, his voice hollow. "I gave her food, water, a bed, everything she needed to stay alive." "That's not what I asked." Bianca's jaw set. "I never laid a hand on her." "But you tortured her," Samuel said. "Didn't you? You kept her alive just to watch her suffer." "I kept her alive because I'm not a murderer." Bianca's voice rose. "I could have killed her, Samuel. Do you get that? I could have made her vanish forever and no one would have blinked. But I didn't. You want a medal for not being a murderer?" Samuel shot back. "I want you to understand why." Bianca screamed. The sheer pain in her voice stopped Samuel, made him really look at his wife. She was shaking, a mess of tears and snot. Her hands were balled into fists. This wasn't the calm, put-together Bianca he knew. This was someone breaking apart. "Then explain," Samuel said, his voice dropping. "Make me understand how you could do this." Bianca wiped her face with unsteady hands. When she spoke, her voice was raw. "Do you remember our wedding day?" Samuel blinked. "What does that have to do with?" "Your mother wore black," Bianca went on, "to our wedding, like it was a funeral. She sat in the front row and cried through our vows. And when people asked her what was wrong, you know what she told them?" Samuel didn't say anything. "She said she was losing her son. That was stealing you from her. On our wedding day, Samuel, the happiest day of my life, and she made it about her own grief." Samuel's mother fidgeted in her chair. "I was just emotional. Any mother would be." "Shut up," Bianca said coldly, without looking at her. "You don't get to speak yet." She turned back to Samuel. "Do you remember the first dinner at her place, when she told everyone I was lucky to marry you? Like I was some pathetic charity project that won the lottery. She didn't mean it like. She meant every word." Bianca cut him off, and she did it over and over. Every family event, every dinner, every time we were in public. She belittled me, Samuel, in front of everybody, and you never once stopped her. Samuel's throat felt tight, because she was right. He remembered those times now. How awkward he'd felt. But he'd told himself his mother was just being protective. "She had me investigated," Bianca continued, her voice rising. "Did you know that? She hired a private eye to dig up dirt on me. Went through my bank records, talked to my ex-boyfriends, trying to find anything to prove. I was just using you. I was protecting my son," his mother said from the chair. "You were controlling him." Bianca wheeled on her. "Everything had to be approved by you first. Every decision, every investment, every plan. You didn't raise a son. You raised a puppet. How dare you? I lost a baby," Bianca screamed. The basement went dead silent. Samuel's heart seized. He had never heard Bianca speak of the miscarriage this way. She'd always been so quiet about it. So private. "I lost our baby," Bianca repeated, quieter now, tears flowing freely. "And I was lying in that hospital bed, broken, bleeding, in the worst pain of my life. And do you know what your mother said to me?" Samuel couldn't breathe. "She said maybe my body wasn't strong enough. That some women just aren't built for it. She said it might be for the best." Samuel turned slowly to his mother. "You said that." His mother's face shifted, a flicker of something. Guilt? Or was it calculation? "I was just trying to comfort her." "Comfort?" Bianca let out a bitter laugh. "You told me I had weak genes. You blamed me for losing our baby." "That's not how I meant it." "Then how did you mean it?" Bianca shot back. "Because from where I was lying, it sounded like you were happy the baby was gone. Like you were glad there wouldn't be someone else for Samuel to love more than you. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Samuel looked at his mother, waiting for a denial, for her to say Bianca was lying, for an explanation. But his mother just sat there, her eyes darting between them. And Samuel knew with a sickening certainty. Bianca wasn't lying. I tried to leave you once, Bianca said to Samuel, her voice cracking. Did you know that? 3 months after the miscarriage. You pecked to bake. I was going to a hotel for a week, just to think. Samuel remembered that day. His mother calling, crying about chest pains. But she called you, Bianca continued, said she was having a heart attack. Said she needed you right away. And you left. You left me alone in our house with a packed bag. And you went to her. She said she was dying. She was fine. Bianca shouted. There was no heart attack. There never is. She just knew I was trying to get away, and she couldn't have that. She had to pull you back. Samuel's head was spinning. How did she know you were leaving? Because she has cameras, Bianca said flatly. In our house. Did you know that? Your mother has been watching us. Listening to us. For years. Samuel turned to his mother. Is that true? Her silence was all the answer he needed. Jesus, Samuel whispered, running his hands through his hair. Jesus Christ. Every time I tried to set a boundary, Bianca said, she found a way over it. Every time I tried to talk to you about her, you defended her. Every time I asked for space, she showed up. I was drowning, Samuel. In my own marriage. In my own home. So, you locked her in a basement? Samuel's voice rose again. That was your answer? I didn't know what else to do. Bianca screamed back. I couldn't leave you, because she would wreck it. I couldn't fight her, because you would take her side. I couldn't breathe, because she was everywhere. So yes, I made her disappear. I made you believe she was gone, so you could finally be free. That wasn't your decision to make. Someone had to make it. Bianca was sobbing now. Because you never would have. You would have let her run your life forever. Until we were 60 years old, and she was still calling 3 times a day, and I was still saying sorry for existing. The truth of her words stung more than Samuel wanted to admit. Because she was right. He would have let it go on. He didn't know how to stop it. Every time he tried to draw a line, his mother would cry, threaten to kill herself, make him feel like the worst son alive. And he'd always caved, always picked guilt over freedom. Look at yourself, Bianca said to Samuel. These last 6 months, you've been happier than I've ever seen you. Stronger, more confident. You've made choices without questioning yourself. You've lived without being afraid. Tell me I'm wrong. Samuel wanted to argue, to deny it, but he couldn't. Bianca was right. He had been happier. He had been freer. And now he knew why. The voice in his head, the constant guilt, the endless second-guessing, the fear of disappointing his mother, it had all been gone. Not because she died, but because Bianca had silenced it. His mother sensed the change in the room. She got her feet on wobbly legs. Samuel, please, she begged. Don't listen to her. She's twisting your mind. She's trying to make you feel guilty so you won't see her for what she is. A criminal. A monster. She locked me in a basement for 6 months. And you locked him in an emotional prison for 35 years. Bianca shot back. I love my son. No, Bianca said coldly. You owned him. There's a difference. His mother's face contorted. Fresh tears appeared. How can you say that? After everything I sacrificed, I worked 3 jobs. I gave up my whole life. I built him from nothing. And you've been cashing in on that debt ever since, Bianca said quietly. The words hit like a fist. His mother turned to him, hands reaching out. Samuel, baby, please. You know I love you. You know everything I did was for you. Tell her. Tell her you understand. Samuel looked at this woman. The woman who raised him, who sacrificed for him, who he'd placed on a pedestal his entire life. And for the very first time, he saw her. Really saw her. Not as a saint, not as a victim. As a person. A flawed, controlling, manipulative person who loved him, but had no idea how to let him go. I need you to be honest with me, Samuel said quietly. Did you sabotage my marriage? His mother paused. I was protecting you. That's not what I asked. Silence. Did you humiliate Bianca on purpose? His mother's lips tightened. Did you fake emergencies to control me? Still nothing. Did you tell Bianca her body was too weak to carry children? His mother's eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing, and her silence told Samuel everything he needed to know. Get out, Samuel whispered. His mother blinked. What? Get out of this basement. I'm calling an ambulance. You need to see a doctor. Relief washed over his mother's face. Yes, thank you. And then we'll call the police and have her arrested. No, Samuel said firmly. His mother stopped. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not calling the police. Not right now. Not until I figure out what the hell to do with this mess. She kidnapped me, and you destroyed my marriage. Samuel yelled. You manipulated me my whole life. You emotionally tortured my wife. You told her she killed our baby with her weak genes. Don't you stand there and act like you're innocent. His mother's face grew hard. I see. She's already poisoned you against me. Nobody poisoned me against anyone, Samuel said, bone-tired. I'm just finally seeing things clearly. The truth, his mother's voice went cold. The truth is that woman locked me in a basement and let you believe I was dead. The truth is she's a psychopath. The truth is if you don't call the police right now, you're picking her over your own mother. Again, there it was. The guilt, the manipulation, the ultimatum. Choose me or lose me. Samuel had heard it 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways his entire life. He was done. I'm choosing myself, Samuel said quietly. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I need. Not what you want. Not what Bianca wants. What I need. His mother's eyes narrowed. And what do you need, Samuel? Space, he said. From both of you. He turned and walked toward the stairs. Samuel, his mother called after him. Don't you dare walk away from me. But he kept walking. Samuel, he climbed the stairs, stepped into the hall, and pulled out his phone. His hands were shaking as he dialed. 911, what's your emergency? Samuel shut his eyes. I need an ambulance. My mother, she's been held captive in my basement for 6 months. Bianca appeared at the top of the stairs behind him. She didn't run, didn't try to stop him. She just stood there, tears rolling down her face, waiting for what was next. Officers are on the way, the dispatcher said. Sir, is the person who held her still there? Samuel looked at his wife, the woman he loved, the woman who both saved him and ruined him. Yes, he whispered. She's here. The sirens came 12 minutes later. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows of the mansion. Samuel stood numbly in the driveway as paramedics hurried past him into the house. He watched them bring his mother out on a stretcher. She was crying, reaching for him. He didn't move. Then the police led Bianca out in handcuffs. She didn't struggle, didn't weep, just walked calmly to the police car. As she went by Samuel, she stopped and looked at him, her eyes full of sorrow. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. And Samuel believed her. Because the worst part was, everyone thought they were right. His mother thought she was protecting him. Bianca thought she was freeing him. Both of them loved him. Both of them hurt him. And Samuel stood alone in his driveway as both women were taken away and realized he'd never truly been his own man. He had always just been the battlefield for someone else's war. The police station was cold. Samuel sat in a small room, staring at the blank walls, feeling nothing. A detective sat across from him, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. She'd been asking questions for an hour. Mr. Liam, I need you to go over the timeline one more time. Samuel's voice was flat, hollow. 6 months ago, there was a fire at my family's mansion. My mother was supposed to be inside. They told me she was dead. I buried her, or I thought I did. And your wife, Bianca, she arranged all of this. Yes. Did you know anything about this plan? No. I thought my mother was gone. I grieved for her for 6 months. The detective jotted something down. And today, you found your mother alive in your basement. Yes. How did that make you feel? Samuel laughed. A real laugh. The sound was bitter and broken. How did it make me feel? I don't even know. Relieved, furious, betrayed? All of it? None of it. The detective nodded with sympathy. Mr. Liam, I have to ask you something important. Did you notice anything off about your wife's behavior in the last 6 months? Anything that suggested she was hiding something? Samuel thought about it. Bianca had been caring, loving, supportive through his grief. But there were small things. Times she insisted on getting groceries by herself. You need to rest. Stay home. Times she vanished for hours, just running errands. Times she was weirdly protective of the basement. I'll clean it out. Don't you worry about it. You just thought she was being helpful. She was hiding a prisoner. She kept the basement locked, Samuel said quietly. She had the only key, on a chain she wore around her neck. Every day, the detective's pen moved on her notepad. And you never thought that was odd? Why would I? I trusted my wife. Even after discovering she faked your mother's death. Samuel looked up, his gaze sharp. I didn't know she faked it until today. Of course. My apologies. The detective paused. Mr. Liam, I have to ask, do you believe your wife is mentally stable? I don't know what I believe anymore. Do you think she planned to keep your mother locked up forever? Or did she have an endgame? Samuel hadn't considered that. What was Bianca's plan? Keep his mother in the basement for good? Let her go eventually? Kill her? He didn't know, and the thought terrified him. I need to talk to her, Samuel said suddenly. The detective shook her head. That's not a good idea right now. Your wife is being processed. She'll probably be formally charged in the next few hours. Charged with what? Kidnapping, false imprisonment, filing a false death certificate, fraud. The list is long, Mr. Liam. The weight of it all came crashing down on Samuel. Bianca was going to prison. His wife. The woman he loved. The woman who had destroyed everything. Can I see my mother? He asked. She's at the hospital for an evaluation. You can visit her once she's clear by the doctors. Samuel nodded numbly. The detective stood up. Mr. Liam, I know this is a lot to take in, but I need you to understand something. What your wife did was serious. Very serious. People don't just bounce back from being held captive for 6 months. I know. Do you? Because when I asked how you felt about finding your mother alive, you didn't say grateful. You said betrayed. That worries me. Samuel looked at this detective, this stranger, trying to make sense of his nightmare. You want the truth? He said quietly. The worst part isn't that Bianca locked my mother in a basement. The worst part is that I was happier when I thought my mother was dead. What does that say about me? The detective's face softened. It says you're human, and it says your family life was complicated. Complicated? Samuel repeated with a hollow laugh. That's one word for it. 3 hours later, Samuel was in a hospital room. His mother was in the bed, cleaned up now, and 4 in her arm. Some color was back in her cheeks, but her eyes looked haunted. Hi, Mom, Samuel said softly. She turned her head, saw him, and burst into tears. Samuel, my baby, my son. He went to her bedside. She grabbed his hand with a surprisingly strong grip. I thought I'd never see you again, she sobbed. I thought I would die in that basement. You're safe now. You're in the hospital. The doctors say you're going to recover. Recover. Her voice rose. How do I recover from this? She kept me in the dark, Samuel. For months. I didn't know if it was day or night. I lost track of everything. I thought I was going crazy. Samuel's chest ached with guilt. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. If I had known, she would bring me food once a day, his mother went on, her voice trembling. And she would just sit and watch me eat, like I was an animal in a zoo. Did she hurt you? His mother's jaw tightened. Not with her hands. She never touched me. But the things she said. What did she say? His mother's eyes filled with fresh tears. She said I was a poison, that I had ruined your life, that you would never be truly happy as long as I was alive. And then she would laugh, this cold, cruel laugh, and say, but don't worry. Samuel thinks you're dead. He's already moving on. Each word was a stab to Samuel's heart. She's sick, his mother whispered. Mentally ill. Dangerous. You have to promise me she will never get out of prison. Promise me, Samuel. Samuel pulled his hand back. Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. His mother tensed up. Of course. Anything. Did you sabotage my marriage? Silence. Did you? Samuel pressed. I was protecting you. That's not an answer. His mother's face grew hard. That woman was wrong for you from the start. I saw it. A mother knows. You investigated her. You humiliated her at family dinners. You called her when you knew we were trying to be alone, because she was stealing you from me. I'm your son, not your property. His mother flinched as if he'd slapped her. How can you say that after what she did to me? Because it's the truth, Samuel said firmly. What Bianca did was wrong. Unforgivable. Criminal. But Mom, you pushed her to it. I pushed her. His mother's voice rose sharply. I did nothing to that woman except try to shield my son from a gold digger. She has her own career, her own money. She didn't need mine. Then why did she marry you? Because she loved me, Samuel yelled. The hospital room went still. Samuel took a breath to steady himself. She loved me, and you couldn't stand that. Because it meant I didn't need you anymore. His mother's eyes welled with tears again. But these tears seemed different. Calculated. After everything I gave up for you, she whispered. After I gave up my whole life, you're going to take her side. And there was again the guilt trip, the ultimatum, the emotional blackmail. Samuel had heard it so many times he had stopped seeing it for what it was. But he saw it now. I'm not taking anyone's side, Samuel said quietly. I'm just telling the truth. And the truth is, you control me my entire life. You made all my decisions. You guilt me any time I try to be independent. You threatened to kill yourself when I got married. You made my wife's life a living hell because you wanted me all to yourself. His mother's face twisted in a snarl. You ungrateful. And Bianca, Samuel continued, talking over her, locked you in a basement for 6 months. Which is insane. Criminal. Wrong in every way. He stood up. Both of you thought you loved me. Both of you thought you were doing the right thing. And both of you destroyed me. Samuel, wait. I need space, Mom. From you, from Bianca, from all of it. Don't you dare walk out on me, his mother said, her voice turning to ice. Not after what I've been through. If you leave this room, You'll what? Samuel turned back. Pleaten tudi? Gill me into staying? Make me feel like the worst son on earth. His mother's mouth snapped shut. I'm done, Samuel said. I'm done being controlled by you. By anyone. He walked to the door. If you walk out that door, his mother called after him, don't bother coming back. I won't have a son anymore. Samuel's hand froze on the doorknob. For 35 years, those words would have shattered him, would have sent him scrambling back, apologizing, begging for her forgiveness. But today they just made him feel tired. Okay, he said quietly. And he left. Behind him, his mother screamed, cried his name, cursed him. But Samuel kept walking down the hospital hallway, past the nurses, into the elevator. And for the first time in his life, he didn't feel guilty for choosing himself. He felt free. 2 days later, Samuel sat across from Bianca in the county jail's visiting room. She looked smaller in an orange jumpsuit. No makeup, her hair pulled back. Dark circles under her eyes. But she smiled when she saw him. A sad, broken smile. Hi, she said softly. They sat in silence for a long minute. Finally, Bianca spoke. I didn't think you'd come. I almost didn't. Why did you? Samuel looked down at his hands. Because I have to understand. I need you to explain to me how the woman I loved could do something so awful. Bianca's eyes filled with tears. I didn't plan it. Not at first. I used to daydream about her being gone. About what our lives would be like without her running everything. When did it become real? The night you left me to go comfort her. When I tried to leave. When she faked a heart attack just to pull you back. Bianca's voice broke. I realized then I would never be free. That she would always find a way to keep you on her leash. So I started thinking about solutions. And you decided on kidnapping. I decided on removal. Bianca corrected. I did research for months. I found a coroner who could be bribed. A fire investigator who'd look the other way. I planned every single detail while pretending to be your loving wife. I wasn't pretending, Bianca said fiercely. I do love you. Everything I did was because I love you. Love doesn't lock people in basements. Your mother's love locked you in a prison for 35 years. Bianca shot back. But nobody calls that kidnapping, do they? Because it was. Emotional, not physical. Samuel leaned forward. Don't try to justify what you did by comparing it to her. Why not? It's the truth. Because what she did doesn't excuse what you did. Bianca's shoulders slumped. Fresh tears fell. I know it doesn't. But Samuel, you have to understand. I was drowning. Every single day. And I tried everything else first. I tried talking to you, setting boundaries, asking you to choose me. Nothing worked. She always won. Always. So you made her disappear? Yes. And you let me grieve? Yes. You watched me cry myself to sleep. You held me while I blamed myself for her death. You let me live with that guilt for 6 months. Bianca was sobbing now. I know it was wrong. But Samuel, you were so happy. For the first time since I met you, you were free. You were confident. You were making your own choices. You were the man I fell in love with. Built on a lie. Built on freedom from her control. They're not the same thing. Samuel shouted. The guard in the corner stirred, watching them. Samuel lowered his voice. Don't you see? You didn't free me. You just replaced her control with your own. You made a decision about my life without asking me, just like she always did. Bianca's face fell. No, that's not. It's exactly what you did, Samuel said quietly. You decided I'd be better off without my mother. You decided to fake her death. You decided to keep her locked up. You decided everything. And you never once asked me what I wanted. Because you would have said no. Exactly. Samuel slammed his hand on the table. I would have said no because it was insane. Because it was wrong. Because you don't get to make those choices for another person. Bianca stared at him, her face a mask of tears. I went too far, she whispered finally. Didn't I? Yes. I should have just left you. Yes. Bianca closed her eyes. I thought if she was just gone, everything would be perfect. We'd be happy. You'd be free. We have kids. Build a real life. And instead, I became the thing I hated. Bianca opened her eyes. They were hollow, empty. I became her. Controlling. Manipulative. Convinced I knew what was best for you. The truth of it hung between them. What did you do to her down there? Samuel asked quietly. In the basement. What did you say? Bianca wiped her eyes. I told her she wasn't God. That she didn't own you. That her time was up. Did you hurt her? Physically? No. I'm not a monster. Then what are you? Bianca looked at him for a long, quiet moment. I'm someone who loved you so much I lost my mind. Someone who fought a monster and became one. Samuel felt tears sting his own eyes now. I loved you too. So much. But I don't know if I can forgive this. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Bianca said softly. I'm asking you to understand. I didn't do this from a place of evil. I did it from desperation. Because I was watching the man I loved get destroyed by someone who claimed to love him. And I couldn't save you. So I took out the threat. By committing multiple felonies. Yes. And ruining our marriage. Yes. They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Samuel stood. My lawyer says you'll probably get 15 to 20 years if you take a plea. Bianca nodded. She'd heard the same from her own lawyer. Is there anything you want me to do? Samuel asked. For you? While you're in there? Bianca thought for a moment. Tell the truth. When people ask what happened, don't paint me as a villain. Don't make your mother out to be a saint. Just tell the truth. That you were loved wrong by both of us. Yes. Samuel nodded. He turned to leave. Samuel? He looked back. Bianca's voice was barely a whisper. Do you think you'll ever be able to remember the good parts? Before all this? Samuel thought about their first date. Their wedding. Lazy Sunday mornings. Laughter. Love. It felt like another lifetime. I don't know, he said. Honestly, I hope so. Me too. He walked away and left her sitting in that visiting room in her orange jumpsuit. He didn't look back. 3 weeks later, the story hit the news. Billionaire's wife fakes mother-in-law's death, holds her captive for months. The headlines were everywhere. TV news, social media, podcasts. Everybody had a take. Some called Bianca a psychopath, a monster, pure evil. Others said they got it, that his mother drove her to it. The internet split into camps. Team Mother, she's a victim. Bianca is crazy. Team Bianca, his mother was abusive. Bianca was defending herself. But no one asked Samuel what he thought. Because the truth was too messy for a headline. The truth was that 2 women loved him, and both of them hurt him. And he was left standing in the rubble, trying to figure out who he was without them. 6 months after the discovery, Samuel stood before the basement door in his mansion. It was sealed now, permanently. Heavy wood, new locks, painted over. But he knew what was on the other side. The cot, the tray, the chair. The darkness. A tomb for the living. He'd hired people to clear it out. Professionals who didn't ask questions. They took everything, scrubbed the floors, painted the walls. but the smell was still there in his mind, in his memory. He could never sell this house. No one would buy it. The mansion where a woman was held prisoner, where a billionaire lived above his own captive mother and had no idea. It would always be haunted, not by ghosts, by the truth. Samuel's phone buzzed. A reminder. Therapy in an hour. He'd been going 3 times a week. Dr. Michelle Torres. She was patient and kind. She didn't judge. "How are you sleeping?" she'd asked him last time. "I'm not," Samuel had told her. "I close my eyes and I see both of them. My mother reaching for me. Bianca crying in handcuffs. I don't know which is worse." "You're grieving 2 losses at once," Dr. Torres said gently. "The mother you thought you had, and the marriage you thought you had. I didn't lose them. I never really had them. That's what makes it so hard. You're grieving an illusion." Samuel had started crying then. Deep, ugly sobs. Because she was right. His mother's love was conditional, controlling. Bianca's love was desperate, obsessive. Neither of them had loved him in a healthy way. Neither had let him be free. And the worst part? He had enabled them both. By being passive, by avoiding confrontation, by choosing comfort over the truth. He was just as much to blame for the catastrophe as they were. The trial was a nightmare. Bianca pled guilty to kidnapping, false imprisonment, and fraud. Her lawyer argued for a lighter sentence, showing evidence of his mother's psychological abuse. Witnesses testified that Bianca was a good person who snapped. The prosecution painted her as a cold, calculating criminal who let a man mourn his mother while she kept her in a cage. The judge gave her 18 years. Bianca stood when the sentence was read. She didn't cry, didn't react, just nodded. Samuel was in the courtroom. When Bianca was let out, she looked at him one last time and mouthed 2 words. "I am sorry." He nodded. He believed her. She was sorry, but sorry didn't fix a damn thing. His mother recovered physically. She'd been malnourished, dehydrated, and traumatized, but she was stable. She demanded to press charges. Wanted Bianca to get life. She testified in court, tears streaming down her face, about the horrors of her captivity. The jury believed her. She was a victim, but she wasn't innocent. After the trial, his mother expected everything to go back to the way it was. Expected Samuel to welcome her back into his life, into his business, back into control. She called him every day, left voicemails. "Samuel, darling, I've been thinking about your business strategy." "Samuel, I found a new apartment. Come help me decorate." "Samuel, I haven't heard from you in 3 days. I'm worried." He didn't call back. Instead, he sent her a letter. "Mom, I'm glad you're safe and recovering, but I need you to understand something. What Bianca did to you is wrong, criminal, and unforgivable. But what you did to me for 35 years was also wrong. You control my life. You manipulated me with guilt. You sabotaged my marriage. You made my wife feel worthless. You threatened suicide. I didn't see it because I thought it was love. I thought your sacrifices meant I owed you my life. But love doesn't demand payment. Love doesn't control. Love doesn't destroy. I'm in therapy, learning how to set boundaries, learning how to be my own person. And one of those boundaries is this: I need space. I'm not cutting you out of my life, but I'm choosing myself right now. For the first time ever, I will call you when I'm ready. Please respect that. Samuel." She got the letter and called him, screaming. "After everything I've been through, after what that monster did to me, you're abandoning me." Samuel let the voicemail play out. He didn't answer. She called 16 more times that day. He blocked her number. Not forever, just for now. He needed silence. Needed to think without her voice in his head telling him how to feel. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done, and the most necessary. Samuel went to a support group meeting for families of inmates. He sat in a circle with a dozen other people, all dealing with a loved one in jail. When it was his turn, he said, "My wife is in prison for kidnapping my mother, and I don't know if I still love her, or if I hate her, or if you can feel both at the same time." A woman across from him nodded. "It's possible. Trust me." "How do you deal with it?" Samuel asked. "By accepting that people are complicated, that someone could do a terrible thing and still be a good person who made a horrible choice. That love and consequences can exist together. Samuel thought about that for days. Bianca was serving 18 years. She deserved it. What she did was wrong. But she wasn't evil. She was broken, desperate, pushed too far. His mother had pushed her there. But Bianca made the choice. And that choice wrecked everything. 4 months after the trial, he got a letter from prison. Bianca's handwriting. He almost threw it away. But he opened it. Samuel, I don't expect you to write back or to forgive me. I'm writing this for me. My therapist says I need to take full responsibility. I was wrong. Not wrong about your mother being toxic. Not wrong about her controlling you. But wrong in how I dealt with it. I should have left you. Filed for divorce. Walked away. Instead, I try to fix you. Fix us. By getting rid of the problem. But people aren't problems. And you can't build love by controlling things. I became what I was fighting. A controller. A manipulator. Your mother controlled you with guilt. I controlled you with lies. Different tools, same result. I stole 6 months of your relationship with her. Even a toxic one. That wasn't my right to take. I am sorry, Samuel. Truly, deeply sorry. Not because I was caught, but because I hurt you. I hope someday you can remember the good parts of us, before I ruined it all. I hope you find someone who loves you the right way. Without conditions. Without control. I hope you find peace. Bianca. Samuel read the letter 3 times. Then he put it in a drawer and cried. Not because he wanted her back, but because he was grieving what they could have been if they'd both been whole. 8 months after the discovery, Samuel did something he'd never done before. He made a massive business decision without asking anyone's opinion. He sold his company. The whole thing. The empire, the billions, everything. His board was stunned. Why? We're at an all-time high. Because I don't want it anymore, Samuel said. What will you do? I don't know yet. And that's okay. He walked out of the conference room for the last time, away from the life everyone thought he should live. And he felt lighter than he had in years. He gave half the money to charity, causes he cared about. The other half he kept, enough to live on, but not in luxury. He bought a small house, 1 story, 3 bedrooms, a garden. No mansión, no staff, no basement, just a normal house where he could be a normal man. And for the first time in his life, Samuel was alone. No mother calling with advice. No wife sleeping next to him. Just him, his thoughts, his choices. It was scary, and it was beautiful. 10 months after the discovery, Samuel visited his mother. She was in a modest apartment he'd set up for her. She had aged. Her hair was grayer. Her face was lined. Samuel, she said when she opened the door. Her voice was cautious. Mom. They sat in her living room in an awkward silence. How are you? She finally asked. I am okay. Better. Working on things. Still in therapy? Yes. Her lips pressed together. Blaming me for everything. I'm sure. No, Samuel said firmly. Taking responsibility for my part. Learning to set boundaries. Understanding what healthy love is. Healthy love, she repeated, her voice bitter. You mean love that doesn't involve sacrifice. I mean love that doesn't involve control. She looked away. I gave you everything. I know you did, and I'm grateful. But Mom, you need to get something. Your sacrifice doesn't give you ownership of my life. Your love doesn't mean I have to live how you want me to. So I'm supposed to have no say? After everything. You can have a say, but not the final say. Not every say. Not control. Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. I just wanted you to be safe. Successful. Happy. I know. But your version of those things wasn't mine. They sat in a heavy quiet. I'm setting boundaries, Samuel said softly. With you. With everyone. What does that mean? It means I will call you once a week. We can have dinner once a month. But I will not put up with guilt trips, manipulation, or ultimatums. If you threaten suicide, or tell me I'm a bad son, or try to control my life, I will leave. And I won't come back until you can respect my boundaries. His mother just stared at him. You've changed. Yes. That therapist is poisoning your mind against me. No, she's teaching me to love myself. There's a difference. His mother looked like she wanted to argue, to cry, to make him feel guilty. But something in his eyes stopped her. He wasn't the little boy anymore, the one who would fold under pressure. He was a man who had been broken and was slowly putting himself back together. He wasn't going to break again. Okay, his mother said finally, her voice small. Once a week. Once a month. I can do that. Samuel nodded. Thank you. They talked for another hour about safe things. The weather, a TV show, his plans for the garden. It wasn't warm. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. And it was a start. A year after the discovery, Samuel stood in front of the sealed basement door one last time. He was selling the mansion after all. A developer was going to tear it down and build something new. Good. This house had too many ghosts. He touched the door, thought about all that had happened behind it. His mother's captivity, Bianca's desperation, his own ignorance. I'm sorry, he whispered to the empty hall, to his mother, to Bianca, to himself. Sorry for not seeing it all sooner. Sorry for not being strong enough to break the cycle on his own. But he was also grateful, because sometimes you have to lose it all to find yourself. Sometimes the cage has to be smashed before you even know you're in one. Samuel walked out of the mansion for the last time. He got his normal car, drove to his small house with a garden, and he sat on his porch as the sun went down. No phone calls, no guilt, no one telling him who to be. Just silence, a peaceful silence. He thought about his mother learning to let go. He thought about Bianca serving her sentence, learning that love without boundaries isn't love. And he thought about himself, a man who'd spent 35 years defined by other people. He'd finally learned the hardest lesson. Love without boundaries is control. Control without limits is abuse. And fighting abuse with more abuse destroys everyone. His mother controlled with guilt. Bianca tried to save him with imprisonment. Both thought they were right. Both were wrong. Because real love doesn't control. Real love doesn't manipulate. Real love doesn't lock people in basements, physical or emotional. Real love sets you free, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Samuel pulled out his phone. His mother's number was unblocked. Weekly calls like he promised. Bianca's name was still there. He'd written her once. A short note. I don't hate you, but I can't love you anymore. I hope you find peace. She'd written back. Thank you. I hope you find freedom. And he had. Not the freedom from money or responsibility, but the freedom of knowing himself, of making his own choices, of setting boundaries without guilt, the freedom of loving himself enough to demand healthy love in return. The sun was gone. Darkness settled over his small house. But inside, Samuel turned on a light. His light, his choice, his life. And for the first time ever, he wasn't afraid of the quiet, because the quiet meant he was finally, truly free. Free from control, from manipulation, from the prison of other people's broken love. The basement door was sealed. The mansion would be dust. His mother was learning. Bianca was paying her price. And Samuel was just learning to live. Not for anyone else. For himself. Finally. Inspired or heartbroken? Tell us in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment with where you're watching from and your thoughts. Which part of the story got to you the most? Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.